With the support of our sponsor, MBPS, it's time again to dive into the hustles, the hurdles, and the highs that keep small business leaders up at night. I'm your host, David Hooser, and I'm incredibly fortunate to welcome today's guest, René Johnson. René is the CEO and founder of Power Zone Coaching. She's a published author, an international speaker, and a leading voice in profitable leadership. For over 2 decades, she's helped business owners plug their profit leaks. She's known for her bold energy and practical insights. When she's not coaching, you'll find her recharging with friends or soaking up the desert sun here in Arizona golfing. René, welcome to the show.
Thank you, David, for having me. I love your beautiful studio. Great energy.
All right. Well, you bring a lot of that energy, that bold
I do.
energy.
I'll try to tamp it down a little bit today.
All right. Well, don't do it on my account. Welcome to the show, and let's get started with our foundational questions.
Okay.
So tell me, as a leadership expert who is helping entrepreneurs live their best lives, what keeps you awake late at night?
What keeps me awake, I was thinking about that as your pivotal platform. And you know what it is, David? It is how to stop the struggle. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is how to help small business owners, the entrepreneurs out there with the big visions, the dreams, stop the struggle. It is a passion of mine for a long time, involved in leadership. I've watched the impact in different roles that I've been led through or served in.
Okay.
But one of the key components is that a lot of times entrepreneurs, small business owners, however we're going to interchange those two because they're pretty much one and the same,
Sure.
right? Okay. They choose to struggle. And what I mean by that, it is absolutely a choice. And the struggle comes in like they have to do it all by themselves. They
deliberately underfund, thinking they get to keep more of their company ownership if
Yep.
they don't bring in outside
Yes.
sources.
Yes.
Or they don't release, delegate activities.
That's a big one. Not releasing delegation, also shrinking their vision, starting out
Okay.
very small.
right.
That's one in the struggle. A lot of assumptions go into place of what's feasible for them, and buying into and that's the key word, buying into the possibilities of their leadership. So several conversations, like even one yesterday with a new client, and talking through some of his struggles, one of the key words he used was, I'm having a difficult time buying into I have the capability to lead my big vision.
Okay.
And that's what I'm talking about, struggle, because if you're working against that frame of reference,
Right.
well, then everything is subject to that, right?
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And, we target getting the message, the word out to aspiring entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. So, that's the message for the day is, don't put yourself in these chains that bind you as you start your small, business operation or idea.
Mm-hmm. Or
right?
even when you're scaling. I
Okay.
find that it also happens in scaling, and that comes by tolerance. So you start tolerating bad habits,
Okay.
behaviors,
Okay.
not having certain systems in place, or they're not evolved for your growth plan, allowing, say, people that have been in your company for years hold you hostage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So, yeah.
Absolutely. Having dependency on them. I mentioned our sponsor, MBPS, and I see that with a lot of small businesses that they engage with. They wait. And they wait to deploy the necessary infrastructure to keep their confidential information secure. And next thing you know, they have a breach. They think, oh, I'm a small business. No one's going to mess with me. They get, breached, and now they're in a mess. So they're already small and struggling, and you lose credibility with any of your clients.
Yes.
You lose the reputation as a company when you allow things like that to happen. So I can see that happening pretty much on all fronts, on adequate funding sources, or a lot of times small business owner operators get going and they think, oh, I've got to reduce costs, when the reality is they need to increase revenue, which would solve their cost problem.
You're speaking my language.
All right. And then we get into the profitability. So let's talk about your journey. So you've been doing this for 2 decades. How'd you get started on your coaching mission?
So I actually got started really young, and having opportunities to work with some powerful, influential leaders, and early in speaking, involved in education and being an adjunct instructor at a dental school. So various roles that prepared me for how to set the stage to have a voice, because that's an important part of being a leader. And when I went through different education, but went back to school to get my certificate or degree in empowerment coaching.
Okay.
What I realized in the industry that I was in at the time, had been in for many, many years. I won't tell you my age. Okay, the 2 decades gives it away. But I realized it was in the dental industry. And I watched these dentists who went to school to perfect their craft, their trade, and brilliant at what they do. But where they struggle was much what we just talked about, that keyword struggle, is they had turnover, notorious for the industry, but continual turnover. They didn't know how to communicate, to share their vision, to actually manage the vision, to build the team, build the systems. They were held hostage, didn't know how to build the bridge with their, sharing the vision with their patients so that they can build the revenue and get the case acceptance, et cetera. And I watched them struggle. And so intuitively, I always had my hand in business. I've had different franchises and different things, independent of the dental industry. And I started to really put together these
best practices
and design some clear principles that is in my first book, Leaving Your Comfort Zone, How to Lead from Your Power Zone, and How to Lead Your Life, from the Power Zone. But I started to build these best principles and then apply them. And I watched the magic happen.
Wow.
Okay. The magic happened on an inside-out process. So yes, you want to make money. You have to be in business. You have to make money.
These were dental offices that you were consulting with, or actually directly working with?
First was in roles of leadership and managing large dental practices. Okay. And then went on to consulting, and then I went on to actually help the American Dental Association put together and launch their first online continuing education program internationally. So first and only.
Congrats.
And then launched with 30% of the business and leadership courses. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So it started this trajectory of hands in the clay, working with the doctors and teams and watching them struggle, and the frustration, the exhaustion, and also giving up on their dream. Giving up on their dreams. But as soon as they had clarity.
And times are tough right now. I mean, I'm sure they have always been difficult in general, but now the margins, the competition, the margins on the services you provide, they're very challenging. Without your leadership principles in place and infrastructure, it's you work hard in that profession, and you work really hard for a lot less reward than you would.
Yes, a lot less reward. And this is in any industry, and we have served many industries from fledgling new entrepreneurs to companies that have sold for $4 billion. So a variety of statures of leadership. All of them have these traits in them at different points of their growth process, right? And one of the key elements that I firmly believe, and I'm out there trying to help solve when I'm stopping the struggle, is to turn their leadership into their greatest profit center. And by doing that, then your business or your career, if you're in an executive role in an actual business, then turn that into the vehicle, right? The vehicle to live your best life. And that's a key factor. So a lot of people go into business for a paycheck, or because it was, because
they lost a paycheck.
Or they got put into that role by default, or a family member. But a key of being a successful entrepreneur is that you turn that business, into the vehicle to live your best life.
Right. I get it. And we preach balance in any kind of business leadership capacity, whether you're running, you own and operate your own business, or you're running a department for a large organization. I mean, you need to have balance applied to whatever you're doing in life. So let's take a 2-second break here with our sponsor, giving a little message to our audience, and we'll be right back. All right, good to be back with you. And all right, so you got your start, but you diversified into multiple industries, and you said in company size, leadership roles and capacities. So how were the early years? Were they easy? Did you hit it and crushed it from start to finish, or did you struggle a little bit yourself?
I think, honestly, you struggle a little bit. You have to put your foot forward. You have to have confidence in yourself. You believe in the results that you want to achieve. But getting those first few to say yes, particularly outside of the comfort zone of being in the dental industry, being known as an expert, as I mentioned, in that industry. But now you're bringing this vision into other forms of business and personalities and goals and visions. And so first couple of them, you get a little bit trying to say overextend, trying to convince them. And after you learn to say, you know what, I need to speak from my vision, my why. Okay. I need to talk about the transformation part of it. And that's a large part of what we do. And as soon as I got really comfortable of moving out of the system part, because I could talk about that all day, right? Because I've developed the process. But I start talking about that transformation. Before we went to break, you talked about balance. Well, one of the key things that we look at in the beginning is building out that plan of we build the first year foundation, then capacity building, and then the exit strategy. So right from the beginning, we're looking at the exit strategy. Okay. Now, you can choose if you want, however position that you raise your level of value up in the company, where you're going to be at what trajectory, what year. But starting out from the beginning, that again, this is a vehicle. It doesn't have to be the be and all. You should be looking at the opportunity that you're leveraging your knowledge and you're transferring that to those around you with the skills, and you're transferring your trust so you get in a position of choice, right? Choice of how you're going to serve in your business. And one thing that I find, and I preach on as well, is that you can't outrun your comfort zone. So the leader you are in your life, right? That leader in your life, you're absolutely going to build that in your business. In your business.
Okay, that makes sense. So you mirror your life traits in your business leadership.
Yeah, you can put on a mask of confidence and kind of fake it till you make it.
Right.
But your development of yourself as a leader your business can't outpace how you develop yourself as a leader personally, right, with that. And so we talk about balance again. That's a key factor in balance. If you don't believe that you deserve the success, you don't deserve that this is truly a way that you're going to give to the people you're serving in your company, out into the community, which is a big factor of being a power zone leader. You don't believe that you have that right, which, David, at different levels in business, I see that comfort zone comes in, right? Well, then you're going to work harder. You're going to see that in the way you're interacting with your team. You're micromanaging. You're not managing your time. You're not allowing yourself to serve it at that level. And be okay that, yes, you should earn a good living doing this. That's not something that you need to feel guilty about. So that balance part, you can't have balance if you're not, if the three key factors aren't plugged, the power leaks part that I talk about.
Okay. So what are those three, the power leaks that we try to plug?
Well, you're going to recognize these given your background and success. So a priority one is how you manage your time. Okay. So the time factor as a leader goes a lot to do with your belief of your value and your worth, where you should be focused. It's not a given, like it's just an obvious factor. We handle that and deal with that. And a key area that you could look at, the viewers here, is how are you delegating? Okay. Can you delegate? Do you delay delegation? Are you getting the results? Because that's going to be a key factor of your ability to scale your value in your business, okay?
Okay.
The second one is around money, or in essence, resources. So resources are in the way that you're building the repeatability in your business. So the
Okay.
revenue comes in and you're building the systems to create that predictable outcome, right?
Okay.
The system part is a key factor, because how do you have profitability if you don't have that efficiency in your systems,
That's
right?
And you
then-
mentioned scale. How do you scale if you don't have that? Okay.
Right? And then the third is around the talents and strengths. And so that goes back to, yes, you as a leader using your strengths, but you developing your people, which is your number one
Right.
charge.
Right.
And then looking at the alignment of your people to your vision and the culture. So, and there's layers in that
Right.
we work through. But those three key things are a huge factor in your ability as a leader to raise your head up, to have balance in the day-to-day in the environment
Right.
in the office, and to be able to leave the office looking for new opportunities or to expand your legacy in the community.
Because that's what keeps you, from growing, is you
Right.
stay so inwardly focused because you didn't do the development of those three legs or areas of focus. And so you have to continually stay engaged in those internally. So, I see that. That's incredible. So let's talk about leaders.
Okay.
So who do you view, in your vision, who is the perfect leadership example that all of our listeners might be able to relate to?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that one in a while. I would take away the word perfect, but because it's a constant, you know that. It's a journey to success. Yeah. I would say I don't have, one in particular. I looked at Richard Branson was one, say that level of leadership.
Right.
What's his first name? Simon, last name Simon. He does the Why series. He's an excellent leader. I forget his first name. I'm going to go blank for a minute here. But it's probably more the qualities of leadership I would look at with that. And other female leaders. But the Power Zone leader qualities is someone that can really articulate their vision. They're able to articulate their vision, able to step forward and take risk into their vision.
Okay.
And you mentioned that early on about the ability to be able to invest in your business.
Right.
And there's ways financially, but also in the ability to let go of things that aren't working for you, right?
That's right.
The ability to be able to strategically set plans of actions and follow through. That vision is now assimilated into those plans. Looking at themselves, the self-disclosure, self-awareness, taking responsibility, that everything trickles down from you, whatever the issues in the company, right? So that ability to move through those confidence blockers and understanding the qualities of confidence and how they work for or against you, and then back to the empowered leadership. So the tier basically of empowered leadership, you recognize those people because the energy behind them, they are working from their power zone. And those individuals are deliberate.
Right.
They're deliberate in the way that they shape their life, right? They create their life, they claim their power, and they show up and look to make a difference.
Right.
And that to me is anybody that you follow, if you see that they are very much in their zone, what I call your power zone, there's a factor of deliberateness which brings that confidence, right? So now you can filter the distractions and things, and you can say yes to the opportunities. So that would be someone that I would view as a power zone leader. And from the short visit we had at your open house, I could tell that you have the quality because of the way that you were able to listen and able to see beyond just say the structure things I was saying, but you could see beyond to a vision in itself.
Sure.
And so you're in tune, right?
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're in tune with who you are and what you have to serve, and you're okay to stand in its own and own it.
I have to admit, I learned a lot through growing my school in many cultures, very diverse international markets.
Okay.
And that helped me develop certainly the listening skills because, number one, I had to because their English was often, broken. Mm-hmm. And secondarily was the meaning behind what they were saying. Sometimes would have, in a English to English speaker conversation, the meaning of what was said would be interpreted differently. Mm-hmm. So I had to always did they really mean it that way? Second guess or think through what was being told to me. The charismatic side, I remember. Are you familiar? You're familiar with Intel? Mm-hmm. I used to work for their top competitor back in the day, in the IBM Apple day.
Okay.
And Jerry Sanders was the founder and CEO of AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. And I think he lacked certain skills, but he overcame what he was missing with his charisma. And I always admired that because you could tell, he would make mistakes. It would be obvious to be like, wow, I maybe wouldn't have done that or said that. But the way he said it would always grab you and pull you in and motivate you. So it was interesting. So there are ways, I guess, and you probably, teach some of this is, well, when you have a weakness but you have a strength, how you blend those together.
Yeah, I would call that learning how your qualities work for or against you. But one of the things that you, in that example there, is one of the top qualities of what I call a power zone leader is authenticity.
Right.
So a lot of leaders are, and I get that there's certain situations you want to disclose certain things, right? And that's just business, right? But in one of your charges a main charge of developing your people, leaders sometimes have that, the emperor with no clothes kind of fear, right?
That's right.
But employees will tell you that's the greatest thing that they see and gives if you hire the right people. And that goes back to other things that we teach.
Other leadership
but then
skills.
That gives them permission to say, you know what, I'm struggling too. I have this weakness too. Right. I want help.
Right.
And your job as a leader is to be that mirror of the opportunity and potentials for them. Right. So it sounds like he was able to do that too.
He was able to do that. Yeah. So, well, let's take a few minutes and let our audience know how they get a hold of you, what type of solutions you would bring to their either early stage or scaling enterprise. So how would I get a hold of you, René, if I'm listening to this podcast?
You bet. The easiest way is to go to my website, powerzonecoach.com. And on there, you'll find different resources. You'll find our social media pages and different publications we've been in and recent podcasts and radio and so forth.
And it's coach,
yes,
singular.
Coach. Yes,
Power
coaching
Zone
was taken.
Coach.
Yes, so powerzonecoach.com.
Okay.
And we, meaning my team and I have a diverse team with different specialties and passions aligned with our vision and mission.
Very cool.
And so we can work on different levels. I would say the young entrepreneur needs to already be in a funding phase, ready to grow.
Okay.
The brand new trying to figure it out, I have other people I can refer you to. And when you get ready for us and you're ready to start building your bench, then you can come, come there, okay, with that. But from that early stage, all right, I want to build this right with the systems and hire the right people. We have those processes and leadership training to really accelerate. We've often doubled revenue in the first year of working with us.
Wow.
Yes. And then scaling from there to, like I said, companies that have sold in the billions and or even in the millions. I have a company right now we're working with that's been in business 30 years, and these systems absolutely are making a difference to their bottom line. And don't wait until you figure it out. We here in the beginning, I was telling David, is that I'm on a mission to stop the struggle. And very often when I work with someone, they will say, gosh, I wish I would have found you 10 years ago.
Yeah, much sooner.
So whatever layer you're at in growing your business, developing, particularly you as a leader wanting to have that executive safe space to grow and develop, that's also an option too. So we have our leadership from the Power Zone program. We have business growth strategy, hiring strategies, and then entrepreneurial skill training, and then our Power Zone Mastery, which is the life coaching program for leaders.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to let our audience go back to their busy days, and we appreciate your time. Remember to like or subscribe to What Keeps You Awake.tv podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and we'll see you on an upcoming episode.